All right. Hello and welcome to this episode of the OCD and Anxiety Show, where we are going to talk about affirmations and how to potentially use them in your recovery. And kind of what I think a lot of people do wrong and just kind of where their place is on this journey. So, real quick before we dive in, those of you that don't know me, my name is Matt Cotty, and I'm the founder of Restored Minds and the creator of the AAA Response. And if you're looking for help with your journey to recovery from OCD and anxiety, we have some links down in the notes for you to help you on that to get started. One of which is the book that I wrote called From Stuck to Unstuck. The other is a 2-day workshop. And these are great starting places to really understand the road to recovery and what you need in order to get better. So today, also before we also, if you could help out the show by liking and subscribing and leaving a comment or review on iTunes and Spotify, that will help the algorithm, which will help us get this to more people. So diving into affirmations. So affirmations is really this idea of like affirming a truth, right? So what a lot of people, read about affirmations and they try them in their life. They're like, I'm going to write something 10 times a day, or, I'm going to say something, and experience a lot of conflict with it. It's generally very, very mixed opinions when it comes to affirmations. So I'll share, and so what I'm going to share in this particular episode is how we can use affirmations when it comes to helping our recovery process with OCD and anxiety. So let me talk about what I don't think is a good idea with affirmations first. So a lot of times what will happen is we'll have a fear thought pop in the head, what if, and this is generally the theme we're struggling with. There's a certain point of, fear that is going on in our life. And what will happen is we'll try to use affirmations as a compulsion, just directly against it. Right. I'm just going to affirm the opposite. I'm going to affirm, this, I'm going to, I'm safe. Right. And the issue with that is it's a mental compulsion. Right. And it can become very compulsive, and which actually paradoxically is going to create more thoughts, activate the nervous system more, all that stuff. So I don't believe in the idea of just affirming wildly the opposite of your fear in response to the intrusive thoughts, because I just 100% believe that's going to be a compulsion and actually keep the loops going, right? Because you're affirming against it, you are training the brain and nervous system to really, take that as a real threat, so on and so forth, right? And that's what causes the loops, is our compulsions. So, however, I do believe that there are healthy ways to do affirmations, right? And so today I'm gonna read a section here from the book The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. One of my personal favorite books when it comes to like really the subconscious mind and understanding affirmations and all that. So in this part of the book, he talks about why affirmations fail. Okay. So, and then more importantly, like how to be successful with them. And then we'll talk about some of the affirmations you could potentially use to be, use in your recovery process. So, so this is from a section here, and the subtitle is "Why Your Affirmations for Wealth Fail." And so he's speaking specifically about wealth affirmations here, but this is going to apply across the board. So he says, I've talked to many people during the past 35 years, and the usual complaint is I've said for weeks and months, quote, I'm wealthy, I'm prosperous, and nothing has happened. And so he says, I've discovered that when they said I'm prosperous, I'm wealthy, they felt within that they were lying to themselves. Right. So he said, one man told me, I've affirmed that I'm prosperous until I am tired. Things are now worse. And so this goes into a lot of people's experience with affirmations, right? Is like, I've tried this affirmation stuff and it didn't work, so it must just all be a bunch of baloney. And it's not true. It's just understanding these little nuances here can be very powerful. So he said, I knew when I made the statement that it was obviously not true. So his statements were rejected by the conscious mind. The very opposite of what he outwardly affirmed and claimed was made manifest. So your affirmation succeeds. And so Murphy goes on to say, your affirmation succeeds best when it's specific and when it does not produce a mental conflict or argument. Hence, the statements made by the man made matters worse because they suggested lack. So he says your subconscious accepts what you really feel to be true, not just your idle words or statements. The dominant idea or belief is always accepted by the subconscious mind. And so then he goes in to say how to avoid mental conflict. The following is the ideal way to overcome this conflict for those who have this difficulty. Make this practical statement frequently particularly prior to sleep. So by day and by night, I am being prospered in all my interests, quote unquote. Right? This affirmation will not arouse any argument because it does not contradict your subconscious mind's impressions of financial lack. So coming from this idea of, okay, if you believe that you currently are not healthy or, like whatever kind of limiting beliefs that you're wrestling with, right? Or you're trying to affirm something to get that into your life, whether it's health, whether it's wealth, whether it's relationships, whether it's, work, right? Your job, XYZ. If you're affirming something so a lot of people will teach affirmations like you write as, like I am this and just claim it. Right? I am wealthy. I am healthy. I am, and there's a large portion of people that will teach that. And again, I'm not saying that that's wrong. What I'm saying is for some people that doesn't work. The reason being is because it creates a mental conflict within them when they look at their 3D life and they say, well, that's not true. Right? So it's like they literally are like fighting with their own mind. And that's not what we want to create. It is again, we want to again bring ourselves to this kind of internal harmony or homeostasis, so to speak. So a couple of key points with affirmations, and I talk a lot about this in the 12-week training, Taking Back Control. We go more in depth into this stuff, but just some key points here. So like Emile Coué is someone that I draw from a lot, and again, I obviously like with my own people that have taught me about like this kind of work. Emile Coué is a very practical teacher, and I think he was either psychiatrist or psychologist, I think from France, back in the day, like in 1800s, I want to say. And he had this phrase, right? Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. And that was literally his whole treatment model. And if you read his book, Self-Mastery Through Conscious Autosuggestion, like that's what he teaches, right? That's his affirmation. That's his only affirmation. That's his whole treatment for like anything you're dealing with, is like, his belief is the subconscious mind knows how to get you better. And it's not your job to know how, right? Like you're declaring, but you need to be in harmony with it. So by stating every day in every way, I'm getting better and better, or even something like Joseph Murphy talks about in his book here, where he says, by day and by night, I'm being prospered in all my interest. It doesn't create a conflict of like, that's not true. The moment you have that internal feeling of like, that's not true because my 3D reality doesn't reflect that, then you're creating the affirmation process. Not going to work. The affirmation is actually meant to put you into a positive internal state, right? It's meant to put you more at ease, put your body in more of a parasympathetic state, right? And by affirming something that you're blatantly in conflict with, right? Like it's not going to be reflected there. Okay. So it's not about affirming against the initial fear or the fear thought that's popping up. What it's about is, again, affirming your recovery, your health, right? And that's why statements like every day in every way, I'm getting better and better, especially like right before bed and right when you wake up. The reason we do the affirmations at those times, and that's what Emile Coué suggested, was, right before you go to bed 20 times, right when you wake up 20 times. Like that's a great way to use affirmations because you're in theta wavelength. So it's easier to permeate into the subconscious. And by affirming something that you have no conflict with, essentially your brain and your mind can find ways in which you're getting better and better, right? And so by using the affirmation, you find more evidence for it, and then therefore reinforce the belief, and then steadily move in an upward trajectory. And so I know this is a bit off the norm of what I usually talk about and stuff, but I just wanted to talk about affirmations because I get questions about them, and people, try to use them and get frustrated. And I think there are actually healthy ways to do affirmations. There's positive ways to do affirmations. And there's actually, though, like, a science to it. Like, it's not just like, state some stuff throughout the day and hope it works. It's like there's actually like ways that people do this that produce results more consistently. And I think learning that, and then learning how to use that in conjunction with what we're talking about with ERP and the AAA response and all that stuff, is just one little element of how we can, hopefully speed up and produce better results with our recovery process. So that's it for this particular episode. So it's just really this idea of, again, we're not trying to use affirmations to counteract intrusive thoughts or the fears. Is more, we want to use affirmations, and we want to use them right before we go to bed, right when we wake up, right, really in the theta wavelength, understanding that's a very important state for affirmations. And then what we want to do is, we want to state affirmations that are not going to produce internal conflict or a battle and cause us to get into an internal state of like, that's not true, right? So we want to affirm things that we can align with, that are going to move us in positive directions. And I think that's a great way to start using affirmations in your journey, if you were interested. So again, the two books that I referenced in this particular episode were Power of the Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy, or Dr. Joseph Murphy, and then Self-Mastery Through Conscious Autosuggestion by Emile Coué. So I hope that was helpful. Hope it makes sense. And and then we'll kind of probably be talking about some, just different things that we can bring into this journey as well. Like, again, as a supplement to supplement the work that we're doing of the exposure response prevention and really breaking the wheel. So thank you so much for hanging out today. I hope it was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Hey there, hope you enjoyed that recent video. We really would appreciate your support real quick if you could like and subscribe to our channel. And if you're looking for help with OCD and anxiety, please check out the links below or visit restoredminds.com, as we'd be happy to help you on your journey. Thanks so much.